Today we'll be taking another look at the Tier 7 Premium Pan-American battleship, the Atlântico. And this game isn't so much about the ship itself, but more about something fundamental to all battleship gameplay. Let me tell you a little bit of a story. One time I was watching T-Bull's stream, and somebody in his chat was lamenting the fact that battleships have to deal with HE spam, they have to deal with torpedoes, and they also have to deal with the whims and terrible nature of RNG. And this person was complaining because basically the HE spam in this game is pretty bad. If you get focused by it, you'll be melted. And if you're in a battleship and you shoot back at one of the HE spamming cruisers, oftentimes your shells are going to miss, they're going to overpenetrate, they're going to do anything other than dev strike the cruiser and remove him from the game. Because RNG sucks, is basically the thing. So this person's solution to this conundrum, and I think the solution adopted by the vast majority of people who fancy themselves battleship mains, is to spec all of their commander inspiration slots into accuracy. So they'll take an accuracy commander like Sims, and then they'll put Cunningham or Azerlane Scharnhorst as the two inspirations in order to tighten up the accuracy so that they can maybe deal with those pesky HE spamming cruisers. And then they just park their ship somewhere. They sit still. They still get melted by the HE spamming cruisers. Maybe their accuracy is better, but they just don't have all that much success, and then they can continue to complain that the meta is horrifically unfair to battleships, and you just can't do anything in a battleship. That's the kind of stuff I heard from somebody in the stream chat, and my response to that was something along the lines of, I wouldn't worry so much about speccing into accuracy, because your positioning in a battleship dictates your impact on the game a lot more than the accuracy of any single one of your salvos. And this game, I think, more than a lot of games I've played recently, really demonstrates that. We're not going to get a lot of high damage in this game. In fact, we're not even going to break 100,000 damage. We're going to do 95,000. We are going to get 4 kills, nearly a Kraken, and we're going to end up with over 2,000 base XP, top of the leaderboard. So we're going to have a good game, but it's not going to blow anybody out of the water in terms of damage done. What it is going to show, though, is the value of good battleship positioning, because I am not exaggerating when I tell you the only reason we won this game is because of a maneuver that I pull at the end. It's not because I sink all the requisite ships. I mean, that's part of it. I do get 4 kills. There's the first on the Fiji. But it's not because I sink 4 ships. It's not because my salvos are accurate. It's not because I do a lot of damage. I don't. It's simply because I put my battleship in the right place at the right time, and I conserve my hit points. I don't do what this Flandra is doing. I don't do whatever this battleship next to me is doing. I don't just push straight in at the enemy, park it there, bow tank, and let people focus me. And I have good map awareness. I notice the Shiratsu U in the center of the cap on absolutely no HP, and that's how I get my second kill. So that's one of the DDs off the board. My team has lost 3 ships. The enemy team has lost 2. They have lost 1 of their destroyers, so they still have 1 left. Flandra and Siegfried over here are not really affecting the game in any significant way. They're parked in front of the Alpha Cap. They're not pushing to contest it. So there's no reason for me to stay here and fight it. Or fight them, rather. Not while Bravo remains unclaimed and there's a red battleship inside of it. What we need to do right now is take the Bravo Cap, and I really wish the friendly DD was not charging straight for the Flandra. That is not what I'd like him to do. I'd like him to go into Bravo and torpedo the battleship in there, actually playing the objective, but he's not going to do that. And that's when we notice the Friesland. which is the final remaining enemy destroyer, and as we all know, the Friesland does not have torpedoes, which means this is not a threat to my positioning in a significant way. The Friesland has scary DPM with its guns, and it can absolutely melt battleships given enough time, but it doesn't have the stopping punching power that comes with torpedoes. So there's not really going to be anything that stops us from pushing in where we want to push in, aside from the guns of the enemy team, or potentially the Siegfried, which also has torpedoes, but of course he's still hiding behind an island up over there near A, so we don't have to worry about him. The Caracciolo that was in the Bravo cap rams the friendly battleship in the Bravo cap, so Bravo is now clear. The destroyer is going toward it, and the Friesland is outside of it. I'm hoping the destroyer is going to reverse in and take it, and I want to be able to shoot the Friesland. So I get all my guns on target, I come around the island, take a shot as my secondaries go off. We completely miss the Friesland, and he goes dark, which is not great. We're also giving broadside to Gneisenau out there, who is not paying attention to us, so we initially turn away to dodge any incoming shells, but once it becomes clear those shells are not coming, we are going to turn around. And we take a look at the Kansas. I actually wasn't sure if he had his guns pointed this way or not, and I realize at this point that he does have his guns pointed straight at me, and I am now turning broadside to him, so this is definitely a misplay on my part. But the great thing about the Atlântico is that its citadel is underwater, and it has fantastic armor. So Kansas hits us, does not hit our citadel, and only does minimal chunk damage. So we're okay. We can now turn in, we can angle against the Kansas and the Gneisenau out there, and we go unspotted. Our concealment is god tier with this build, of course, 11.4 km. So now we're going to approach the Bravo cap. We know that if we can get inside of it, the islands around the cap should offer us decent cover from the enemy battleship still floating, and the Friesland is the only thing occupying that cap. Friesland, of course, not having torpedoes means he has no way to stop us from pushing in. Can't resist taking the shot at the Kansas, of course, because he's flat broadside to us, 13 kilometers away. We get about 12k on that salvo, which is the first really substantial, meaty salvo we've gotten in this game. And the Kansas sort of reverses. We drop spot, we lose sight of the Kansas, get spotted by a plane, which I enjoy, and then drop spot again. So our approach to the Bravo cap is still concealed. The Friesland gets spotted inside of it near the battleship. Looks like he's taken out our last remaining destroyer, which isn't ideal, of course. We're now down to 3 ships, 2 battleships and a cruiser, versus 4 enemy ships, so we've got sort of an uphill battle to climb. Kansas is still fairly broadside, though. We take another shot, results not quite as good, but now our attention is all on the Friesland. We take a look at the Gneisenau because we're going to be turning to give him broadside, and obviously we don't want him to try and take advantage of it, but we have little choice here. The enemy team is ahead on points. They've just secured Bravo. If we allow them to keep Bravo for an extended period of time, they're going to increase their lead on us, and it's going to, at some point, become insurmountable. We managed to go dark, and the Gneisenau, of course, cannot see us. He's battling with one of our cruisers. I'd like to help out that cruiser, but I'm holding my fire right now because the Friesland is smoked up in front of me. I don't really want to give him advanced warning that I'm approaching him so that he can, run away. So I'm holding my fire, but I decide I need to take the shot because that is a flat broadside from the Gneisenau, and you can't just not take that shot. The results aren't great, only 5k, 3 overpens, and we get spotted by the Friesland, of course, so he starts shooting at us. He lights one single fire, and the HE spam is still coming. Luckily, they're destroyer guns, so they can't really penetrate our armor, but they can light fires. We decide to hit the DCP as we go dark again, and the Friesland can no longer see or hit us. And you would think the Friesland has seen me. I have 32,000 HP left. I'm a gigantic battleship with good secondaries, by the way, and I'm charging straight at his smokescreen. He has no torpedoes to stop me. You would think the thing to do would be to turn around maybe and run away, but no, this Friesland is a brave, brave soul. He just sits in this exact same place, starts spamming, I guess, AP at my other teammate. Kansas is coming around the corner, which might mess up my maneuvering here, but I don't think so. We're approaching the Friesland. We should spot him any second now. The only question is, do we shoot at the Kansas or the Friesland first? The answer is given to us by spotting the Friesland, who is only 2 kilometers away. I'm slightly concerned he might try to ram me, so we're definitely going to shoot at him first with all the main guns, almost enough to take him out, but it's okay, because our secondaries can do the rest. Just need a couple more hits. Where's that close quarters expert? There it is. The Friesland is dead, for reasons unknown to me. Why he decided to sit there, I don't know. I'm glad he did, though. We clear him from the cap, and now it's just the Kansas and the Siegfried left. So we're going to have to be careful here. This is still theoretically anybody's game. I think my last couple teammates are on fairly low HP. The Kansas has an island between himself and me. We're unspotted, so we should be able to secure this cap, which we want to do before we get spotted and reset. We want to have this cap in blue hands so that we accrue points from it in order to hopefully help secure the victory. Kansas looks like he's on fire. He may, in fact, be burning to death. I'm not quite sure, but we're 15 seconds away from taking the cap, and the Siegfried gets himself spotted 14 kilometers away, flat broadside. We don't shoot at him yet because we want to be sure we secure this cap before firing any salvos, and we do need to be concerned about our HP. Even though our citadel is, in fact, underwater and exceedingly difficult to hit, the Siegfried does have 15-inch guns, same as us, so he can still chunk our broadside if we're not properly angled. We take our shot, we begin turning in to angle against the Siegfried, and we also slow down. Hopefully he's not going to shoot at us, but it does look like he's got his guns aimed this way, and we can't continue to go forward much further because the Kansas is still behind the island, and he's still floating. So he could still easily sink us, and we don't want to give him that opportunity. We're kind of actually stuck here for a moment. I'm not exactly sure what to do. Siegfried has noticed us, though. He's definitely going to start pushing in toward us. We citadel him there through the bow. First real citadel we get in the game. Nice juicy salvo. We definitely needed it. And hopefully if the Siegfried continues to turn toward me, he'll be giving broadside to the battleship south of Alpha, and essentially creating a crossfire between me and that battleship. Looks like he does get chunked there by the battleship, and somebody takes the Kansas out. So now we no longer have any reason to sit here. We can proceed and move forward. But my last remaining battleship teammate is not maneuvering. He's doing the battleship thing, which is sitting still in one place and bow tanking. This is not an effective strategy, as I've said many, many, many times before, and I don't think I need to beat a dead horse and belabor the point here, but the Siegfried can overmatch the battleship that was bow tanking, which was a Nelson, so he does, and he takes the Nelson out. And now he's inside the Alpha cap, contesting it. But we're ahead on points, 573 to 555. If I allow the Siegfried to take the cap, he'll start accruing points from it, and he'll overtake us on points. But if I get inside of the cap, then it means both teams are only accruing points from one cap. My team is accruing points from Bravo, the Reds from Charlie. So if both me and the Siegfried are in this cap, then nobody's going to take it, nobody's going to accrue points from it, and as long as we have the lead, which we do, we'll maintain that lead until time runs out. But we can't get torped by the Siegfried. He's behind this island. We know he's facing toward the right of the screen, so if we go left around the island, he's going to come around the right-hand side, and we'll be facing away from him, which means it'll be impossible, or very difficult at least, for him to torpedo us, which is his only hope of winning. He has to torpedo us, and he has to sink us if he wants to win because of our positioning. A lot of battleship players, I think, would have turned their nose toward that island, toward the Siegfried, but that would be a foolish move. That would only allow the Siegfried to torpedo us easily. Instead, we kite away from the Siegfried. It is much more difficult to torpedo a target that is sailing away from you. It is exceedingly simple to torpedo a target that is sailing into you, something battleship mains would do well to remember. There are valid times to run away from the threat. Bow tanking should not be the first tool in your wheelhouse. In fact, kiting is almost more effective than bow tanking in every scenario you can possibly imagine. The fact that we're kiting means the Siegfried can't torp us. Our secondaries taking out his torpedo tubes guarantee that he can't torp us, and he slips behind the island, no longer able to shoot us. with less than 10 seconds left to go in the game. So thanks to our getting on this cap and preventing the Siegfried from taking it, we're able to maintain the points for the last minute and a half, and we're able to secure the victory for our team thanks entirely to our maneuvering. Our guns were not very accurate this game. We didn't get a lot of damage. We did get high XP though, and we won thanks to our positioning. It had nothing to do with our accuracy, and I hope this helps drive home the point that you should think a lot more about your positioning in your battleships and a lot less about how much you spec into your accuracy. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.